Hi, welcome to episode 321 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I am Fluffy K on Ravelry. I have an Etsy shop where I sell my handspun yarns and patterns, and that is called the Corner of Knit and Tea. And I have a website also called the Corner of Knit and Tea. You can find that at thecornerofknitandtea.com, and that's where this episode and every episode show notes will be. Hi, how are you? It is Monday, March 22nd. We have just come through the spring equinox and things are looking up a bit for spring. I hope that you are doing well. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back and spending a little bit more time with me. Like I said, today is Monday. Of course, I always have a case of the Mondays, but I actually got through a lot of my work fairly quickly, so it is 2 p.m. and now I am sitting down to record a podcast and chat with you. So things have been more or less the same here as they have been for the last several weeks, months, year. The weather did get a little bit warmer over the weekend, which was nice. We could open the windows again, and my husband went out and played disc golf with some of his friends, and I tagged along for one of the games, so I got to be outside and in the fresh air. And it seemed like just a little tiny bit of normalcy because when we walked the golf course, we weren't overloaded with people, and we all stayed our 6+, 10+ feet apart. And so we didn't even wear masks, which was kind of, it felt naughty. But we were outdoors, it was breezy, and like I said, we weren't close to each other. In past times, we would have gone for a meal afterwards. We, of course, did not do that. But it was actually really, really nice to be outdoors and among friends. And like I said, it was just a little bit of normalcy. So we're, otherwise staying indoors, and away from people as much as possible, but it was just a nice little break. And I should clarify, it was my husband and me and then 2 friends of ours, and they both work from home as well and have not been out much either, so they're keeping masks and social distancing as well, so it was a pretty low risk situation. We're still doing very, very little, but it was just kind of a nice taste of what might come later this year if we can bring our numbers down a little bit and get vaccinated. I'm trying to think what else I can discuss. I just wanted to say, I don't really want to stir the controversy, but I also just want to say that I am focusing more on moving away from Ravelry. If you are a user of Ravelry, you do know that, or you may not know, but Ravelry Classic is being retired at the end of the month. And Ravelry has been unusable for quite a few folks since they did last updated it last June. And so I am moving away from Ravelry. All of the links in my show notes for recent episodes, I would say starting within the last couple of episodes and going forward, all of my links, when I add links to the patterns, will go someplace other than Ravelry, so you will not be sent there. And then I am sort of rearranging my intro and some other things not to place as much emphasis on Ravelry. If you can use Ravelry, my patterns are still for sale there, but they are also for sale in my Etsy shop, as well as my Lovecraft store. So, and the ones that aren't, quote, for sale there are featured on other blogs. Like, there were a couple freebies on the Knit Picks blog, and so there are a few others like that. But everything that is purchasable and downloadable is available elsewhere for those of you who can use it, and I won't be centering my knit-alongs or craft-alongs over there in the future. So that's just a quick update for those of you there, and I guess let's get into the content. Today I am drinking White Tower. Gonna say White Tower. It is part of the Adagio fandom blends for Critical Role based on their previous game. It's a couple years old. It's still lovely. This is a blend for Arcanists. It's vanilla green and cinnamon. And I am working on using up all these little tins and things that I have around the house. And today it is in my Friend of the Pod mug. That is Crooked Media and their political podcasts here in the US. It started with Pod Save America, and now there are a million of them. They're all great, whatever you choose to listen to. So that's what I'm drinking out of. So let's talk about the knits. I have a big finished knit, which I am excited to show you. This is the V-back tee by Knit-a-Thon, who is Jamie Hoffman. It is a pattern that is available in a wide range of sizes, and it's kind of interesting because it has kind of a crew neck front and then a V-neck back, and can actually, it is reversible and can be worn either way. So it is a top-down sweater with some interesting shaping. It's got yoke increases, circular yoke increases. It's got short cap sleeves. I actually kept these even a little bit shorter because I thought the purple was kind of startling against the color. They're probably technically supposed to be about an inch longer, but I didn't. And then down at the bottom, there is some short row shaping to bring your V and your front back into coordination. I knit this in Zen Yarn Gardens in their Luxe Cakes, which are 150 grams, 750 yards of a merino cashmere silk. It is absolutely luxurious. And the top one is in a new colorway called Rice Tie, and the bottom one is in Raspberry, which is these great purples and pinks. So I will be taking photos today and sending this off. I knit the size 6, which is supposed to yield a bust of approximately 52 inches. It is designed to be worn with, I think, between 0 and 3 inches of ease. I am a little short across. I can't decide whether that's because I didn't block it severely. I'm a little bit short across. I'm a little bit more like 48 inches across in the bust, which makes a little bit of sense because I used about 1,000 yards and the pattern originally called for 1,300. So I think I may not be quite on. I'll have to double check. I really do think I'm on gauge though. Anyway, so that is, this one is going to go off to the photographer this week, and then it will be available as kits from Zen Yarn Garden. It will take approximately 2 cakes, I think, for almost every size except the very, very largest, and those I'm thinking are around 52 inches and above in bust. So it's a nice one. You can certainly do it with scraps in your stash. It is designed to potentially be a fade, so you could do it with 3, 4, or 5 colors the way it's written. But my idea was actually to do it with the gradient cakes so that we could show all these beautiful colors and not have to change yarns that much, which was really, really nice. So that one is done, and like I said, ready to go out. I need to box that up. I'm going to take some photos this afternoon and then box that up and get that out tomorrow so that it is off for photographs and ready for spring knits. So that left me with a little hole in my schedule. I do have another sample knit on the way, but I was trying to decide what to cast on in the meantime, and I ended up casting on 2 things, neither of which were specifically planned, but yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I decided to cast on is a pattern by Lavanya Patricella, and it is available on Ravelry and I believe also on her website, and it is called My Chrysalis, and it is a shawl. It is a 2-skein shawl designed in both a lace stitch and brioche, and it is for a contrast in textures. And so the original shawl, I think, was done in Ching fibers. It was their Surrey alpaca and then like their merino sock. So it is both fingering weights, but one was kind of the Surrey alpaca, which is the really, really fluffy, fuzzy yarn, and then the other was a less fuzzy yarn, just a regular sock weight. And I saw this shawl ages ago and decided I really wanted to knit it, and I actually bought 2 skeins of yarn from my local yarn store, neither of which were the ones called for in the pattern, but 2 skeins that I really, really wanted to knit it with. And the first is a skein of Treasure Goddess Treasure Toes sock yarn, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards, in this blackberry color, which is called Feelin' Fine with Blackberry Wine. And so that is Treasure Goddess. That is my friend Christine. She has lovely, lovely yarns. This is not one of her regular colorways. This was kind of a special, and I got it when she did a trunk show at my local yarn store, but this is the colorway. So it is just a blackberry semi-solid skein, just really, really, really nice. You can't really make out that it is semi-solid, but it's just got some really nice deeper areas. I believe it was kettle dyed. And the second yarn that I'm using was a mohair silk. And of course, I am not a huge mohair silk fan, particularly because I don't mind knitting with it. I love the way it feels as I knit with it, but I can't really wear it because it's kind of itchy. I find it kind of itchy, and so I don't know why I picked it, but I loved this shawl because it's a study in the contrasting textures, and so I picked up this skein that I thought went really, really well with it, and it is a skein of Primrose Yarn Company. It is their plume base, which is 72% kid mohair, 28% silk, approximately 450 yards, and the colorway is crazy right now. So this is the Primrose label, and you can see all the fuzz coming off of it from the mohair, and this is the mohair, and it is mostly kind of almost pastels. It's like an off-white, and it's got all these pastels, and you probably can't see, but in it, every so often, there is just a little bit of a dark thread, and the dark purple in there matches the blackberry, which is why I thought they'd be so nice together. In practice, it's really coming out as kind of like a pale pink and the blackberry, but I really like it so far. And I've only gotten a little ways because I ended up casting on something else, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But this is the first part of the shawl. I will say, you know, it's kind of funny. I saw this shawl ages ago. I really, really wanted to knit it. I don't really know if I'm going to want to wear it. I mean, I'm sort of hoping that I can wear the shawl over other clothes and that if it doesn't touch my bare skin, it won't be itchy. But, you know, I'm amused because I really love the way the shawl looks. I don't know whether or not I'll wear it. And then the other thing, that happened was the way the pattern looked in the photo, I didn't read carefully enough, and so I thought it was actually a crescent shape because she was wearing it bandana style, and it turns out it's an asymmetrical triangle, and there is nothing wrong with that. That's completely like my reading comprehension fail, my not looking at the pictures, but it was just funny because all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm knitting this shawl that I don't know if I'm going to wear because I don't know if the materials are going to be okay, and I kind of wanted it to be a semicircle. There's nothing wrong with it, it's fun, and here's my start. So, the first section is a little bit of a lace section where you're alternating colors, and then the second section is a brioche section, which is kind of fun. I will say that the Surrey alpaca that she used, well, it looks this one's looking okay in the camera. I was gonna say, the Surrey alpaca that she used is possibly a little bit thicker than this plume that I'm using, because it looks, there are sections where it feels like you can see mostly the Surrey and not the other color, and of course even in the sections where the mohair is kind of forward, you can still see quite a bit of the dark color. So it's not quite as pronounced as the sample, but I do think it's actually going to be okay now that I'm looking at it. When I look at it up close, I feel like all I can see is the blackberry, but looking at it in the video, it looks like you actually can see the other color. So I think that's going to be nice. It does have some subtlety that just doesn't get captured in the video because you can see that there are some small sections that have bits of color in them. So that part doesn't really get picked up on the camera, but that is the start to this shawl, and I believe I'm going to mostly be alternating these sections. It is a paid for pattern, so I don't want to give too much away, but I believe I'm just going to be working in these alternating sections for a while until I hit the end or run out of yarn. So I am excited about this. This is a shawl, like I said, that I've been wanting to knit forever, and my theory is that if I can't wear it when I finish it, I will just donate it or gift it to someone, and it won't be a big deal. I still will have enjoyed knitting it, and I bought the yarns specifically for this pattern and to go together, and it just feels good to start something out of stash. However, I don't know that this one's going to see that much work this week because I actually started something else as well, and this is kind of funny. You may remember a couple months ago I knit the More Though wrap by Erin Kurup, and I knit that as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden, and I used some white Serenity Silk base, which is their silk and I can't remember what else. I think it's woolen silk. Well, no, it's merino cashmere nylon. It's the same base. It's the same base as their Luxe Blanks. It's just not dyed like that. I got some just in the plain natural colorway. And I worked on that with a gradient cake, and it made a long shawl. It was knit on the bias, and it had some mosaic patterning in it. And so it was alternating sections of mosaic and some lace, and it was really, really nice. And as soon as I posted it on my Instagram feed, my sister was like, "Oh, that's so pretty. I love it. I really, really love it." And at the time I was like, yeah, no, I'm not knitting another one right away. My sister's 40th birthday is coming up. And so a little while ago, I was like, oh, maybe I should make her something special. The silly part of me is that I really just should have started it a month ago, because my sister's 40th birthday is next Tuesday. Today is Monday the 22nd. Her birthday is the 30th of March. And there is no way that I'm going to finish this wrap in time to finish it and send it to her in time for her 40th birthday, because I only started it on Friday. But on Friday night, I got the bright idea that I should totally start another project and that I should work on this and get it to my sister. So I think this is the project that's going to be seeing the most work. I'm actually sort of hoping I can crank it out this week, and that by the time I see you on Monday, it will be time. I'm hoping that I can like steam block it on Monday, show it to you, and get it in the mail. We will see if that happens. So, just for a little refresher, and I'm knitting this in somewhat different colors than I did before, this is the More Though wrap by Erin Curup. And if you remember the last time I knit it in Zen Yarn Garden in their Luxe Cake, in Raspberry, which was the same as in the sweater, at the bottom of the sweater, it was purples and pinks. So I had half a ball of the Serenity Silk left over. I only used half in the first version, or maybe slightly more than half, maybe like 55 grams, but I had 45 grams left over. So I may modify the pattern just slightly and omit maybe like one or two of the sections. But when I blocked the wrap, it came out to gosh, I don't even know, like so far over 6 feet, probably 8 feet. It was the length of my guest bedroom, which is probably 10 feet actually. So from point to point, it was just incredibly long. And so I can afford to, skip a pattern repeat or two, if I need to at the end. So I had the leftovers of the Serenity Silk, which, like I said, is in the natural base, and then I pulled out, Zen Yarn Garden dyes their Luxe Cakes. They dye them two ways. They dye them in a sock blank base, and then they also then unravel them and wind them up into cakes. So this is exactly the same as the Luxe Cake, it just is not wound up. I just took it in a blank, and this is the colorway in the Grove, which goes teals to chocolate browns in the middle, and then back to teals at the end. And since my sister does love teal, I know she really, really loved it in the Raspberry, but I don't have another skein of the Raspberry. And I did have this one because I have, well, actually I have two of these because I liked them so much I thought I would do something for myself. So I am going to do this colorway for my sister, and this is how far I've gotten since Friday, which is pretty impressive, because that's actually quite a few repeats of this mosaic. I'm ready now for another lace section, and then I will alternate through the lace and the mosaic, and then on the other half of the wrap, the lace features more prominently and the mosaic features less prominently. So, like I said, I am working on this. I'm about 150 rows into a 550 row project, so I have 400 rows to do between now and next Monday. So we're just going to keep on this. This is going to be my focus. I probably won't work on anything else this week, and I am going to try and get this knocked out and get it to her for her 40th birthday. And then I should be receiving a box with more yarn for samples this week, so then I will be casting on for a new sample. And I also will probably be working on a couple of my own designs because I have some patterns that I should release in the next couple months. I have a baby blanket that I'm going to design, and I also have a hat that I'm going to design. And then eventually I will get back to the children's sock arm sweaters, which I did show you the yarn for. So I have plenty of projects coming up in the next couple months. I'm hoping I will work between projects more. When I worked on this one the first time, I did like 25 to 30 rows a night, and now I'm trying for 50 to 60 rows a night. So I will be working on this one probably by itself this week, but I do think that I'm ready to sort of jump back into having multiple projects going at once. So I don't know when I'll get back to that other shawl. That one may take a little while, but I'm just gonna keep on keeping on, and I'm very excited about this one. I just realized that I should have started it even 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I would have been in a much better spot now. But I'm a little crazy, and that's how this works. So, and I also, in one of the big knitting milestones that I have is in a few weeks, I will be doing the Knit for Food-A-Thon. And thank you to those of you who have made contributions. Thank you so much for supporting me. We are over $100,000 raised right now. Not me personally, but we are over $100,000 raised now, and we're shooting for $150,000. If you want to check out more details, I do have a link in my Instagram profile, and it is called the Knit for Food Knit-a-Thon. It is on givebutter.com. And we are raising money for 4 food charities that raise awareness of food insecurity and provide food for those who are in need. It is Meals on Wheels. I'm really problematic when I try and talk about this. It is Jose Andres's Cook for America, Food for America. Meals on Wheels, Food for America, okay, it's in my profile, so go check it out. Basically, we are going to knit for 12 hours straight to raise awareness for food insecurity, and so I will be working on lots of these projects that day, and I'm going to share photos and maybe short videos of what I'm working on in those 12 hours, and I'm hoping that I will get lots and lots and lots done, and not have too many knitting related sores when I'm done. I feel like I've been working up to this. So that is the knitting content for today. Let me take a sip of tea and then we'll talk about spinning, and I'll get John out of here. So spinning wise, last week I started on a braid of fiber from Apothecary Fibers. It might be Apothecary Yarns. It's Apothecary, which is spelled Apothefery. All the links will be in my show notes to her shop. And it was a beautiful colorway called Tuberose, which was greens and purples, and so it was kind of these greens that moved from like a light sage to a kind of a darker foresty green, and then a darker purple, and also some lavender, and I finished that and it came out beautifully. This is a merino base, so it's soft and squishy. My guess is it's going to be between 350 and 400 yards. There are sections where the colors overlap and sections where they don't, so we've got lots and lots of barber pole goodness, along with some solid areas where you've got your light greens together or where you've got your purples together. So this is kind of a fun skein. I think it will be great for spring. I just need to give it a wash and then do the final measurements, and then it will be up in the shop. Which brings me to what I'm spinning this week. I went back to an old standard, some Hello Yarn fiber. I have been in the fiber club for a number of years now, and it feels like no matter how much Hello Yarn I spin, I still have a bunch in the stash. I just love her colors. This was the club colorway from January. It is on BFL and silk, so it's a 75-25 blend, and it is called Songbird, and it has got some corals and reds, kind of orangey reds, and then it's got some yellows and golds, and then some browns. And it is not normally my color range, but I'm just really enjoying working with it, and it is reminding me a little bit of some of the birds that we are starting to see outside. We have a robin that will not leave our house alone. The robin has decided that I don't know whether he's protecting his nest or exactly what he's doing, but he has decided that he has seen a robin in our windows. It's his reflection. And so all day long now, he tries to fly at the windows and either land on the windows. So we have storm windows, which are dual layered. A lot of folks in the Midwest have these. They provide for better insulation in the winter because it's a dual layer. And then we also have ways that we can open the windows but still have the screens intact for like during the summer months. So he sees the wooden panes in our windows, but the problem is that the wooden panes in our windows are actually inside the storm window. So he keeps trying to land on the window so he can peck at and attack the robin that he has seen in our house. But because he just flies right into the storm window outside, and he's not that bright, he has not figured that out. And all day he works his way all the way around our house to all the different windows and then continues doing it again. So pretty much all day long we hear the robin flying into our windows. We have tried putting wrapping paper, putting cardboard, putting other things in the windows to try and change the light perspective so that maybe he doesn't see himself. So far, not helping. So we have a robin that's attacking our windows. We also have, and kind of a similar theme, there is a finch that loves my husband's car, and every year he perches on the driver's side door and looks at himself in the rearview mirror and tries to attack himself in the rearview mirror. And he's this little finch, and he's got like kind of an orangey colored beak that reminds me of this color right here. And then the rest of his coloring is much more kind of caramel colored, and he's got really long tail feathers. And I looked out today and I was hearing the robin fly into our windows, and then I was watching the little finch attack himself in the rearview mirror on my husband's car, which is in the driveway right below where I sit. So I can see this whole thing happening all day long, and they are our favorite birds. Anyway, this is Songbird, and this is what I'm spinning this week. It will also go up in the shop. I have already spun half of it, and this is the other half, which I'll spin in the next day or so. So that is what's going on with me. I hope that you are doing well. I am feeling sort of a renewed sense of spring here. This morning in Kansas, new phases opened for COVID vaccines, and based on some conditions that I have, I am actually eligible now, and so I am signed up to get my first COVID vaccine on Friday. So I am starting to feel a little bit hopeful that maybe later in this year I might be able to see my family again. I mean, if we have to wait till Thanksgiving, it will be officially 2 years since I have seen my family in person. My parents are in California. My sister is in Chicago with the children. Truthfully, I am hoping that maybe by this summer we will all be vaccinated so that maybe I could go up and see my sister and the kids. Of course, we have been Zooming and chatting this whole time. Of course, I do not consider myself unique in any way. I know plenty of people are trapped in spaces where they have not seen their families either. But I have to say, the idea of being able to get vaccinated and that things might change in the next few months is giving me a little bit of hope moving forward. And honestly, I'm going to try and take that out where I can. It has been a long year. We are at the year, and we are just past the year anniversary now of when we went into lockdown. And while we are not in lockdown, as it were, I've pretty much been in my house this entire year. The combination of it getting warmer outside and us being able to spend a little bit more time outside, and the potential that we will actually be able to maybe hang out in some outdoors arrangements, still socially distanced, but with our loved ones, makes me look forward to the coming months. So I hope you are staying healthy. I hope you are finding some nice crafting experiences, enjoying what you're crafting, and I hope that you too are finding a little bit of hope for these coming months to sustain us for a few more months of being careful and not getting to go back to some of the things that we miss about our old lives. Thank you for spending time with me today. I wish you a wonderful week, and until I see you next time, I will say happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next week. Bye.